And I appreciate the handout you gave with the history of the flying car, going back to 1947. I know 1949, Malt Taylor had an aero car that actually flied, and to your James Bond fondness, as which I am, if you remember, The Man with the Golden Gun had a flying car in that movie also. Ms. Dietrich, I was there when Terrafugia premiered their car at Oshkosh. After votes Thursday, I'll also be flying to Oshkosh, and your booth is always the most popular. There's always a large crowd, so you certainly have the attention of the aviators of the world. So I think we're getting close, and I'm not too much worried about the noise level. I know you guys will have to get it right. From a business standpoint, or you won't survive. That's going to be driven by both civilian population, as Dr. Clarke alluded to. I guess my concern, and it's been brought up, is transitioning from an uncontrolled airspace, where basically you can do what you want to a controlled airspace, and whether it's Class Delta, which is in a small community, or whether it's Class B, as you guys know that are on the board there, that airspace is controlled from surface up to 4,000, up to 10,000 in Class B. So ATC has control in even a small city from surface on up. And a day like today where it's cloudy, the ceiling is low, I'm concerned that if you have an autonomous vehicle that gets lost in the clouds, it gets spatially disoriented, and unfortunately, bad things happen. Ms. Dietrich, I guess go to you first. I'm assuming that in the Terrafugia transition car, will a pilot's license be required to purchase that car?
Well, thank you for the question. Thank you for the kind words. Yes, for Transition, our first product, that's a light sport aircraft. So you will need a sport pilot license or better in order to fly that aircraft. And depending on the qualifications of the pilot in the aircraft, you wouldn't be flying that particular aircraft in a day like today. From an instrument meteorological conditions perspective, autonomy is actually a safety benefit in those areas, because all of the sensors that you would use to fly an aircraft on a sunny day are the same as the ones you'd use to fly on a cloudy day. So autonomous capabilities can actually increase safety in bad weather, which is one of the reasons why we're considering incorporating them not just in these urban air mobility vehicles, but looking at ways to bring them into broader general aviation as well.
And I'll agree with that. I fly a Cirrus, which has wonderful avionics, and certainly can make me a much better pilot in conditions like this than me flying myself. So, I can't argue with there. And we know that in y'all's world, we're having to convert to ADBS out by 2020. And if you have ADS out and in, then cars, flying cars, and certainly airplanes can talk to each other. So that maybe alleviates some of the burden on air traffic control. Again, I worry also, about the weight and balance. If you get somebody that does not know aerodynamics and they get into an autonomous vehicle that overloads its weight and balance capability, then you're in a dangerous situation. And Dr. Allison, I know Uber and companies like you are thinking along those lines, and I'll just let you comment.
Sure. Thank you, Congressman, for your question. Those are all very important considerations, and we are certainly going to take a crawl, walk, run approach to this as we develop the networks, and we start with demonstration flights initially, experimental flights, basically in conjunction with our partners in the partner cities, and then as we will learn from that as we move toward the 2023 launch of the commercial flights that we are kind of ambitiously projecting. So these questions of weight and balance, those will all have to be figured out by learning, by actually simulating these things and testing them in practice as we roll toward that initial start of commercial service.
And for you and Ms. Dietrich, are you planning on building these cars under Part 23?
Yes, sir. Part 23, Amendment 64 is a good fit for these aircraft. There's about 80% of that rule that applies directly without any need for modification, 10% that's just simply not applicable, like landing on water. And then there's about 10% of that rule where we'll need to work with the FAA for special conditions or other consideration where it just wasn't originally contemplated. But by and large, it's a good fit.
And the FAA has helped a little bit with the regulation Part 23 as far as that.
Yes.
So, Dr. Shin, do you have any comments on any of this?
No, I think I support everything the other witnesses mentioned. I think I want to point out that this is a great opportunity for the country that from very high-tech but low-volume industry that aviation has been, except the general aviation part. we are actually looking at the possibility of turning that aviation industry as a whole from still very high tech, but extremely high volume, just like automobile industry. So I think government really needs to find a way to enable this new capability for the country's national economy and jobs.
Well, I agree, and look, I think it's an exciting time, and I wish all you guys the best of luck. I think the future is bright, so thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you.